Hey guys, this is touched on upon a little bit in the beginning of the podcast, but I just wanted to give a special shout out to Skar Productions because this podcast is a really big deal to me. I've always wanted to be able to interview bands and different musicians because music, as well as games and content creation, have always been a passion of mine. And I was so excited that Skar even said yes. So if you have not checked out his channel, you should check out his covers. Subscribe if you like the content and enjoy the podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here too. Hey nerds, and yes, I will keep referring to you guys as nerds. In my last video, I said, hey guys, on accident, and a bunch of people commented on it. No, it's not rebranding. But today, for our 8th episode of Coffee and Games, we are here with Skar from Skar Productions, and I'm super excited because I love all of his covers, and this is awesome. So for any of you guys who don't know, the big reason that I got into streaming and content creation is because I saw Sam Dunn's documentaries on Headbanger's journey, and so connecting essentially metal all the way back to different genres and jazz. So this is kind of really exciting for me. And Skar, if you wouldn't mind telling everyone where they can find all of your links, where they can find you, when you normally post videos, and when you normally stream.
Yeah, so, well, you can find me on YouTube under Skar Productions, and same for all the social media stuff. And I usually make one cover every month. That's about what I can fit in. And yeah, actually with streaming is more just a fun kind of thing I'm doing. Playing some games and raging out to From Software's games. No, but I stream mostly just when I feel like it, so a few times a week. So nothing really special or a schedule going there. But yeah, this YouTube. That's the main thing. Yeah.
Awesome. And when did you start getting into music? Like, when did you first pick up a guitar?
Well, actually, I picked up a guitar kind of way later than I started music because I started with electronic music. So I started with like techno and trance and dance music in the early 2000s, which is kind of surprising to a lot of people, but I was never introduced to rock or metal. So I started in about 2001. I remember that's when I first got introduced to making music. And yeah, we just made like techno in like this old software called Fast Tracker 2. And that's where it started. And then in 2004, I think, we were at my aunt's house. We were watching after the place, and we were grinding out Diablo 2. and this friend of mine, which was there, he was just like, Martin, I think you will like this, and like he showed me a band, and it was Nightwish. And he put, I think the first song he put on was Kinslayer, and I was just like, yeah, and I was just like, holy shit! Like it was such a revolutionary moment for me because I was like, oh, so this is the kind of music I like. It's like, you know,
yep.
like just like that, it changed, and I kept making some electronic music, but slowly just more metal, and then Children of Bodom, and then Metallica, and
nice.
Just it just kept going. So that's where it started. And then so the guitar I picked up around that time, but it was mostly just it all came gradually. Yeah.
And so have you always been into video games, or was that much more recent as well?
No, video games has kind of been a part of my life since as long as I can remember, since we got our Sega Mega Drive back in, I don't know what year it was, but, we had Sonic and stuff, and my aunt also got like a Windows 95 computer back in the day with King's Quest and all these old LucasArts games, and so yeah, but it's always been a pretty big part of my life, and even more so now with these covers and stuff. Yeah.
So when you actually started doing these covers, like what was your biggest influence in your drive when you started? Was there something that changed that you were like, hey, I want to post these on YouTube?
That's a good question because I actually don't really know. But around this time, my friend, actually, I played in the band with him before Frog Leap Studios, or Leo. We played in a band. Yeah, we played in a band back in 2009, 2010. And I remember when he started with his stuff, I saw this starting to go really well, and I thought to myself, like, it would be cool to try to make something myself. And actually, my first cover on my channel is with him. It's a cover of Rage Against the Machine's Bomb Track. But but actually just uploaded that to promote my mixing and engineering stuff. But then Dragon Age Inquisition came out, and I was so hyped. I had my collector's edition and everything, and then I got into the tavern, in the game, and then they started playing Rise, and I was like, wow, this song would be a really cool metal song. And after that, I just went for it and tried it. Like I'm not good with cameras. I'm still not good with cameras. I hate them, and I was like really awkward in front of the camera and everything. But I tried it, and it seemed to go pretty well. I mean, the ball started rolling from there pretty easily, and that was like really really motivating at the time. So I just kept going.
That's amazing, and I think your camera work is quite good. Just so you know.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome.
So what would you say, other than having Nightwish be one of the first times that you were introduced to like metal music, specifically that symphonic and power metal, what would you say are your absolute biggest influences, both musically and for game development? Like, is there a specific game that's just been over the top, really interesting to you and given you that influence as well?
Yeah, so with music, I mean, it's actually pretty easy to trace it back. I mean, my music interests, I mean, it started actually with Final Fantasy 7. I mean,
nice.
that's where
Nobuo Uematsu.
Yeah, I mean, he's I mean, like every song he makes like strikes home with me, immediately.
Fantastic.
And it was, I remember back then we were in school, and I had a Nintendo 64, and I played Zelda Ocarina of Time, and this buddy of mine came out, was like, yeah, but Final Fantasy is better than Ocarina of Time. It's like, what are you talking about? No, of course it's not. And I remember saying, yeah, come to my place and you can try it out. And I remember trying a Final Fantasy 7 out, and it was just like, yeah, okay. Then I got a PlayStation, and that game was basically the turning point, because that's when I realized I loved games for more than just pure entertainment. Because it inspired me so much, and just it gave me ideas to what I wanted to do myself, and especially with the music, which is a huge part of that game, or every Final Fantasy game. And yeah, no, it just like that's when I really started to. This is what I want to do, and what I keep want to work on. So yeah, no, but so that's when the music started for the most part, and it's still is big, like a huge influence. I still listen to all the soundtracks from Final Fantasy every now and then. And then, when it comes to games itself, like, I mean, now it's Dark Souls that is like the number one game of all time for me. I have my nostalgic ones, the Final Fantasy stuff, but Dark Souls is just another league.
Have you broken any controllers while playing Dark Souls?
No, I stopped doing that. I tried to. I mean, with Dark Souls, it was actually pretty different, because you have to go into the game with a certain mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of being told how it is, and there was certainly a raging moment on Ornstein's Mo the first time.
Right.
That was pretty hardcore. But no, actually, it's been fun. I almost broke my controller playing Resident Evil 4, but other than that, it's been quite nice.
So going back to Final Fantasy VII, do you have a track or any music on that really stands out to you that might be your favorite?
Oh man, that's like asking like who's my favorite kid. No, let me think. I mean, like the Those Who Fight Further, the boss battle theme. That was basically that was kind of like,
that's amazing.
I guess that was also my really first introduction, like the one, oh shit, like this is something I really like, this
awesome.
kind of riffing. But I mean, there's so many. The main theme is kind of the one that takes me back. Like as soon as I hear those notes, it takes me back. The Aerith theme, or Aerith.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's so many. But I have to say that Those Who Fight Further, just because of how important the song was for me back then.
Right.
Yeah.
So actually, speaking of Aerith's theme, your kind of cover of that is one of my favorites. And I was wondering, is there a story behind the lyrics that you did, or how tough was it to have that like orchestration there and then try to like fit your own dialogue into that?
Yeah, so that was kind of funny. Like always wanted to try that. I mean, the reason it's not on Spotify, by the way, is just because I mean, it's kind of like a little bit, you're taking it a little bit further than just making a cover.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but anyways, I had this idea for a long time, and because the melody is so singable, like the original has such a singable melody, and I just figured like that's why isn't there like a song like that? But no, with the lyrics, I just had it in my mind. Actually, I wrote them while I was forced to this a job program where where you learned how to apply for a job. And I was sitting there, not paying attention because I was starting with the music stuff, and I was just writing stuff down. And I just, I just wanted to try to write about Aerith, like, how she was in the game, and kind of, her destiny, so to speak, like, that she couldn't avoid what she was, but how she handled it and stuff like that. I felt it was just fitting. I mean, I guess it's not very metal lyrics, but
it's amazing.
but I feel like, it's very fun to make that kind of stuff, because then I can put even more of my appreciation of the games and the stories into my songs. Like I try to do that with every cover, because I don't really like to cover stuff that I don't know. I have to sometimes, but when I really dig it, I feel I can translate all of those emotions over, especially with lyrics. So no, but yeah, it wasn't that hard actually to write for those. Those came very naturally, or just a few lines I had to kind of mess around with a bit to find the correct words. But yeah.
No, it's really great. Some of the octaves are so powerful. Like, I think the first time I listened to it, I teared up, and my fiance was like, okay, really? I'm like, yes, it's sad. It's Aerith. Do you know what happens? He hasn't played all the way through FF7, so
Okay.
I mean, he knows what happens to her, but so
that's going to be soul crushing.
I know. And so going off of that, another one of my favorite covers that you do is Weight of the World. And that's also really interesting because you also do the Japanese version as well. And so how did you feel like trying to have that punch with the Japanese version? Because I feel like or at least from how I took it, the English version was first, and then you were just doing it as singing it in Japanese. So did you feel like it was just as powerful and hit just as hard, or was it difficult to kind of go around that with a different language?
It's kind of funny because I actually made that Japanese version just because I moved my studio again, and I had like no content for a while, and I need to make something, and people asked about the Japanese version, so okay, let me try. And it actually, in my opinion, the Japanese versions, like the vocal performance is a lot better there, because I feel like the Japanese words are so much more as maybe undermining it, but it's like a little bit simpler, at least when singing, because they're so pretty, like how we sing in Japanese. So I felt like the vocal performance actually was a lot better there, and I can do more stuff with it. So, but it's scary. I mean, doing another language that's that you don't know. It's because I don't want to piss on their language. I don't want to do like a bad performance. But I sat there studying every single word, like, okay, it's the S sound, and then it's your emphasis on the I, and just like try to make it as correct as possible. But yeah, that was a lot of fun actually.
Yeah, that was amazing. Just hearing the transition, I was like, oh, okay, this is almost a completely different song just because of that. Like, it was amazing. But actually, speaking of which, how many languages do you know?
Well, actually, I just know two, I guess, English and Norwegian.
Okay.
It might seem like I know more, but I don't. No, fake it till you make it, right? No, I haven't gotten into learning another language. I went into French actually back in was it high school, but that ended pretty quickly.
So when you're doing songs that are either in different languages or kind of almost made up languages, like Arthas My Son, or I believe Hymn of the Firstborn Son has a little bit in there, as well as Dragon Song. Is it difficult? Do you study what you want to have the dialects sound like? Do you actually take a lot of time to look at that before you actually start performing the song? Or do you just kind of let all of like instinct and just excitement for the song like kind of guide you and then tweak it here and there?
Well, it's kind of, I feel I really need to learn to sing it absolutely correctly first, like how a native would. So actually for God of War, it's old Icelandic. So, and that was a pain in the ass because that was not easy. But I had this friend of my girlfriend send me a video with him just speaking the lyrics to me. And I just studied that as much as I can. But the thing is, like when you're singing metal, you have to sing with power, and you can't focus too much on certain things like I, stuff like that. The I. So, and that can quickly sound like I don't know how to sing the language, So it's trying to find that balance. Like for example, on Dragonborn, they say Dovahkiin. That's how we say it. But you can't say Dovahkiin, Dovahkiin. That sounds really small and minuscule. So I had to say Dovahkiin, you know.
Right.
And of course, you get comments on that. But you know, some compromises you have to do. But
absolutely.
No, but I really want to pay respects to especially the fantasy languages, right? I mean, that's so super cool to get right. But you know, sometimes you have to make it sound cool, and then you have to sacrifice some of the language. Yeah.
So with all of that power and the way that you have to sing, especially with metal, do you know what octaves you can hit? Like, do you actually have do you know what your full range is? And if you do, what is it?
I actually, well, I don't know the terms like theoretically. I have no clue. I started singing I mean, I sung before, but my first Dragonish cover is basically my first vocal performance.
Okay.
Because I did not sing before that. And
wow. Okay.
It was just like, okay, I need to make these covers. I'm sick of playing in bands because people just do not have the same ambitions as me, or just, you know, don't want to make more music. And so I just, I have to learn how to sing. So I just went at it. And but no, at my range, I don't know, the lowest is probably on God of War, and the highest we have on you know, some of the high notes on the Skyrim cover and stuff goes really high. But I mean, I don't have the best control in the highest register. You know, I have to sometimes force it a little bit to make it sound good, but I'm working on it. But no, I would say it's kind of hard to say. I actually can't reply because I don't know like the soprano, what it's called.
That's all right. Especially for metal, because I feel like it's you know, varying, and at the same time it's not that it isn't important, but there are certain things that you can do in different like vocals that you can match with like different orchestrations and certain music that just sound good, even if it's not even a legitimate vocal range.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, when I make a cover, I always have to take the song and retune it. Most of the time I have to retune it to fit my voice and then the guitar. So, but you know, I just try to stay in where I know I can do my best. I mean, sometimes I just have to accept I have to do some higher notes, and luckily we're doing it in the studio. So then you can kind of take your time to just get it right or edit something in if you just can't reach it. Because I feel it's better to force a note that's a little bit too high to you than sacrificing the rest of the song.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's in good range.
And that's very admirable too, because there are a lot of people who just specifically for music that they know is very popular, especially for covers, like they really try to force the whole thing, and you're like, okay, this is good, but it's definitely not in your range. So I actually that's one of the things that I like about your covers. But speaking of not being with bands previously, because they weren't, you know, on the same path as you, what happened with Equilibrium? Like, what was it that made you say, okay, yeah, I'm ready now?
No, that's a funny story. I mean, I always I like to play in bands. Don't get me wrong, though. It's not like I dislike playing in bands. It's actually a lot of fun. It's just the thing. Like I want to make stuff. I want to do stuff. And there's so many people where it's only, you know, they just say they want to do something, but they don't actually put in the work to do something. But basically, I did a tour all the way back in 2012 with Trollfest. It's a Norwegian, very weird Balkan band stuff. And, you know, that was my first real tour. And then I did another with them in 2014, and we were warming up for Equilibrium. And so that's how I met the band. And, you know, I didn't get to know them that well on the tour, but I mean, like, they knew who I was. They'd seen me perform and all that stuff. And then they were looking for a vocalist that, you know, could sing, because they wanted to add that into into their songs. And the drummer, Hadi, he actually showed Renee, who makes everything in Equilibrium, my videos. And he's a gamer also who loves video games, and he loved my covers, and then just contacted me if I would be interested in joining. And at that time I was just like, oh, come on, I just kind of gotten to terms with that I'm not going to be in the band. but it was kind of hard to let up, because I do really enjoy their music. And he showed me the new album Renegades. He had it done, so I can listen to it. I was like, oh, I want to be a part of this, you know. But I will admit I was very skeptical, because, you know, I have 2 children now and the third one on the way, and I was just like, I never been the one that needs to go out and tour and play all the time.
Right.
I'm a gamer at heart, and I like to sit here, play games, and make music. So I was really skeptical going on those first tours. But after this pandemic, now I know for certain that I want to keep going with that stuff. Because now I miss it like hell,
Right. It was actually funny, just a little tidbit, but I'd always listen to your covers. And when my fiance actually was first visiting me, because we had lived in 2 different states, he always talked about Equilibrium and that his favorite
Right.
song was Moonlight, which your vocals are in.
Yeah.
And he was playing it for me, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. Like, I really like that. And he's like, yeah, I really like this. And then I was playing the covers of you for him, and he's like, wow, that's really good. And I was like, yeah, it's awesome. And then we watched the Equilibrium music video, and I was like, wait, that's Skar. Cool. And he's like, how did we not put 2 and 2 together? So it's actually... so with you being in Equilibrium and everything that's happening or has been happening with COVID, have you guys like done meetups and stuff just like kind of like this over video calls and done any practicing or anything like that? Or like has everything just been at a standstill? If you can tell me.
Yeah, well, it's Equilibrium works in this. Well, like I'm from Norway and they're from Germany, and the drummer is from Israel. So it's very much like we just meet up and play, like we're all professionals. So, but when the COVID hit, like we just sent a few messages here and there, but not really like any warm fuzzy community gatherings. No, Renee is working on new material. I can say that much, and we just communicate when we do stuff mostly. I mean, we do keep in touch, of course. We're friends and everything, but we don't really have any big band meetings or anything like that at the moment, at least. It's a lot easier when we just, most of the time in 2019, we traveled, so we just talked and did everything while on the road when we have tons of time to kill. But for now, it's very much, we're just waiting to see when shit clears up, you know?
And it's actually really cool, just some of the people that you've mentioned in your videos that you've gotten to work with, like members of Lord of the Lost, who I actually... started to get into because of your covers, which was absolutely amazing. And I was just curious, is there anyone that you have yet to work with that you really want to work with?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, there's a lot of musicians I would like to work with, but I feel like a lot of the times it's just like a little bit out of my reach.
Right.
I mean, I saw that Floor Johnson, the vocalist from Nightwish now. She's my favorite female vocalist of all time. I've been listening to her since, she was in After Forever. Mm-hmm. But I saw her started doing YouTube content now, and I thought, like, man, that would be absolutely so fucking cool. But I try to keep my expectations low, and then when opportunities arise, I see if they work. I mean, I was so fortunate to have fucking Jeff Loomis on my Cyberpunk cover, and that was just like, I don't even know what to say about that, And that was a lot of fun. But of course, there's other artists as well. But I mean, it would be fun to do something with Nobuo Uematsu. But I don't think that will happen. But you can always dream, right? Now, but we'll see. Like when opportunities arise, I would definitely enjoy working with other people from other bands. We were playing actually together with Powerwolf in 2019.
Oh, that's so cool.
during this German festival, and we had that was so cool. We had the best backstage, and we're sitting out there, and I was just gotten really into them, and I was listening to their newest album on repeat. But I was like, I did actually that back then. I didn't have the balls to go up and talk to them, so I was just like standing there with my beer and like, oh no, I think I'll wait. No, but that would also be really cool to have him. On one of my videos, but who knows what will happen.
Whenever you go on tours like this, even though like you're playing and you get to meet some people, do you ever find yourself like, how do you overcome that initial fanboy stage when you want to actually talk to someone and work with someone, and especially if you're on tour, like especially with someone that you're just getting into, like Powerwolf? Yeah,
I mean. You learn pretty quickly, like when you join a band, they're all just normal people. I'm more than you think. It's not something I just say. Like they're just the same as us. And but sometimes it's I don't know why I locked up with Powerwolf. I have no idea actually, but usually I don't. But it's like you don't want to be awkward. You don't want to rush up to somebody and with the beer in hand. It's like, yeah, hey, what's up, man? It's like, oh, so cool. You don't want to be like that either. And sometimes it just have to happen naturally. And I know that when you're meeting musicians on the road, it's tough traveling a lot. I mean, you get really tired. You don't have much time to do stuff, and there's not always a lot of time to sit and talk. Even though it might seem like that we have like just parties backstage. It's not like that. But sometimes it just doesn't line up. But I think like a few beers always helps, right? Maybe like a good whiskey that really
that was me before this interview.
Yeah.
Like, I probably shouldn't be drinking coffee when I'm really excited to do an interview. Fiance is like, what do you want? Whiskey?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, something to take the edge off always helps. I mean, with the music stuff, you always have a beer in hand. Like,
sure.
So, yeah, it makes it easier.
And you had mentioned previously that most of your covers you do are big influences because it's something that you're interested or that you've played before, but sometimes you have to, expand your horizons and do covers with things that you possibly have not. Do you have any examples of those? And was it tough actually getting into it because it wasn't something that you were as excited about or as connected to at the time?
Weight of the World was one.
Oh.
Actually, but I had seen so much footage of Nier Automata, and I think it looked so freaking cool. And I just searched for music, and that song was just like, I need to cover that one. But I read kind of like a little bit of the story and kind of had to spoil it. I mean, like, I could have done it without. I just feel like, I don't know if this even translates all the time, but I just feel like I have to know it a little bit before I sing it. The only song I can say that I did not look a lot into was Rivers in the Desert from Persona 5.
Okay.
That cover I basically just did like on the fly because it had like this funky disco vibe, and I thought like, hey, let's just do it. It's obviously just a fun song, right?
Sure.
So, but yeah, those are kind of the main examples actually. And I actually have the next cover, which is coming out for hopefully in a week or so. I did not have a big relationship with that either before I released it, but again, I've seen a lot of footage on YouTube and stuff like that. So.
And you obviously take a lot of suggestions from your community as well. Is there ever a time where your personal preference outweighs that? Or is it always scrolling through your comments, seeing a suggestion and being like, that's it?
That's difficult sometimes because when you do YouTube, and this is my main job now, and sometimes you have to choose between business and what you actually want to do. Sure. Like, I mean, it's an inevitable balance that you have to do. It sucks sometimes. It really sucks because I want to make this, but I can know after so many years, I know this will not do as well. But hey, I mean, I did friggin' King's Quest 6, Girl in the Tower. Nobody even knows about that song. And so that was just like, I want to make this one, And I actually made that cover like 6 or 7 years ago, and it's been lying around. Like, now I want to do that. But sometimes, I mean, like, I would have done it anyway, but Toss a Coin to Your Witcher was, of course, like I was drowning in requests after that when that one was getting popular. And so of course I had to do that, but I would have done it anyway. I mean, The Witcher is my jam.
So speaking of which, a lot of times you normally do the game covers, and then you just started doing, or not just started, but you've done stuff from shows like The Witcher, and then you've also done Mulan as well. Are you ever, or will you ever look into doing covers just of other bands? Like, I just want to do straight covers of other bands, or is it always going to be games?
Well, I mean, there's always an opportunity, but the thing is, if I'm going to cover, how can I do Nightwish better? How can I actually make that? Like, I don't want to change anything.
Yeah.
But that's the main problem I have with covering straight up bands, because it's just a straight up cover. Learn the riffs, record the riffs, maybe change a little bit your style, and then go. And I just don't find it as interesting or so as rewarding as when taking a game and transforming. Sometimes even the source material is a little rock, but it's still I'm transforming it to my style, and I can change it up. But covering bands is, I don't know. Of course, I have had ideas to cover some Metallica and Nightwish and stuff like that. but it's just like I don't want to just straight up cover it,
Sure.
And but I don't think it's ever going to be a thing because I want more reasons to play video games, and I feel like my channel gives me just, hey, I need to buy this game. Yeah, but I need research. That's what it's for.
Are there any genres of music that you haven't touched yet that you would like to start working with, like other than metal, and then you did some of that disco from Persona, and then you dabbled a little bit in almost like that southern rock for kind of like the Take Me Home for Fallout 76? Is there anything else that you haven't done that you're thinking about doing maybe in the future?
So I mean, like cover music from other styles, you mean? Or do you actually yeah, okay, so
other genres.
Making other genres. Okay.
Yeah.
No, but well, I would say like I've covered most of like that's within the stuff I want to make. Like there's certain things I don't think like translating an EDM song into metal. Maybe it will be fun, but I think it's just that I'm not exposed to it, right? So It's harder, and I don't try to be like the grumpy old guy, but I don't listen a lot to a lot of different music. I don't sit here and scroll through a lot of music.
Right.
When I'm not working with it, I usually don't want to listen to it because then I want to just relax my ears. And when I do listen to it, I put on some video game soundtracks that I like, No, but I mean, like, definitely, I mean, like, if a song comes up from a game or series that just has a catchy vibe and the correct tempo, it's like, there's absolutely no reason why I wouldn't try that.
Sure.
I mean, like, for example, oh my god, no, I just got the name. The ones from Kingdom Hearts that I covered. Face My Fears. Oh god.
Yeah, okay.
Totally slipped my mind. That's also like an EDM song, I guess. So, okay, I have done that. Anyway, yeah, sure. I mean, like, if it pops up.
And do you have a preference on like a specific brand of guitar or instrument that you like to use? And do you like to swap them out for different sounds on certain songs or certain covers that you're looking at? Not even necessarily just distortion or post-production, anything like that, but just specifically the actual instrument.
That's a pretty in-depth question there.
Sorry.
That's cool. No, that's cool. I like it. Well, actually, after I joined Equilibrium, I was fortunate to land a sponsorship with ESP. So
cool.
The ESP is the guitars I use. I mean, I've been using them all through the years, but I've never been super attached to an instrument. Maybe a lot of people will find that weird, but I have an instrument and I'm really excited about it, but I have usually no problem selling it and just buying something else, trying something new. But with the ESP ones, now I just kind of found the ones I like. But I do use a lot of different instruments for each cover, depending on the tuning. So I have my guitars, all my guitars are set up in different tunings. So, the drop D, drop C, standard this, blah, blah, blah. And I always just, when I look at the tuning of the cover, I always pick the guitar that will work the best according to the tuning.
Right.
And sometimes when I record also, I would swap them out. Like, okay, this lead riff here, it would sound really better with that guitar, and I'll just pick that one up and use that. And I think that's the most fun part of making the covers. I'm not making for a band. Like a band, like if you play in this tuning, this is how we're gonna play it, blah blah blah. But it's like with covers, I'm just like looking at my walls, like, okay, which one do I want to use now? Like, what sounds can I make with this? For example, with the Toss of Country Witcher, the intro is actually using something called a piezo, which is like you have two plugs on your guitar. One like this super clean, nice sound. So it's just like fun. Like, oh, now I can use that. For the intro, that sounds really amazing, and I find that just so much more fun. Looking at the instruments as a tool rather than many people looking at them like they're an extension of themselves in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with that, do you have a preferred distortion that you like to use? And have you also always used the same program to mix all of your covers, or has it changed over the years?
Well, actually, when I started covers, I've been using Cubase, and that's the software I've been using actually since 2006. And before that, I was just jumping between whatever could make sound, I guess. But yeah, so it's been Cubase I've been using, and for my guitar tones, since the last 3-4 years, I've been using only the plugins from Neural DSP, which they sell like guitar amp sims and stuff, and I'm actually an artist with them as well. And then so I've been fortunate enough to get to try all their stuff, and it just sounds friggin' amazing. Like they have the best things out there, and So why change what works, right? But of course, I try out different stuff whenever they pop up. I was lucky to try the plugin, the Jeff Loomis plugin, for example, that I used on Cyberpunk. But I always end back on neural DSP stuff. They have just quality over quantity with them. It's pretty amazing.
So how many instruments do you know how to play?
Well, I would say, what defines know how to play? I can make a sound with most stuff.
If you can keep rhythm on drums, I'm counting that. No,
Okay.
Pretty much anything that you would feel comfortable enough for. If someone approached you and was like, "Hey, I want to do a collab. Can you play this specific piece if you practice it enough?" Would you be able to do that on a specific instrument?
Okay, so I could probably play piano, keyboards. I would probably need a lot of touching up. It's been a long time. But and guitar and bass and vocals. I would say drums, but because I know the basics. But I wouldn't really brag that I could play it really well.
Right.
But I'm sticking with that, and I've been mostly a digital dude. After start with trance and dance, so synths and plugins. That's kind of where I've been working. So I learned to play keyboard on my actual computer keyboard, because on this old software, we had they were imitating the keyboard. So Q is C, and then 2 is C sharp, and so I learned how to sit and play keyboard on the actual
really
computer
cool.
keyboard. So that's been my world, and but yeah, so instruments I've kind of been able to just pick them up when I needed them, and yeah.
Is there anything that you're really interested in picking up, maybe for a future cover that you just want to try to see if it meshes well with everything else you've been doing?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of instruments that I would have liked to try out to actually have them in my hands and not using a sampled instrument, like the shamisen from the Japanese instrument. That stuff would be really fun, because it's familiar enough, but also different, that you can try something out. Yeah, and also there's I don't remember the name, but the ones they used in The Witcher. He used these old Balkan guitar things with 3 strings.
Yeah, it's sort of like a lute, but not really.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I know what you mean.
I can't remember the name, but it's pretty cool. The iconic sound from The Witcher is from that instrument.
Right.
By the way, I was very lucky enough to meet them, by the way, to Percival Schuttenbach. When I was playing in Poland, I met, the girl and the man who plays there. Now, the names slip my mind, and they're in Polish, so I don't want to say them to just say them wrong. But yeah, I got to meet them, and they actually told me the instrument they used in The Witcher 3 is actually a customized version of that guitar, and it's tuned differently to be able to play those powerful chords you hear in the game. So that really that would be so cool to just have and try and just tune it up and see what I can do with it without knowing the instrument from before, right? Because just approaching it from a fresh angle, how can I make the sound and not think about how it's supposed to be?
No, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So is there a video game yet that you haven't made music for that you're hoping to in the near future, or anything that you have planned that you haven't made music for previously, or are you allowed to unveil that?
Yeah. I'm not too. I shouldn't reveal all my plans, so I don't get people's hopes up if they expect something. But Resident Evil has been a huge part of my video game life, and I always wanted to cover something from that, but there's not too much tangible stuff for my style. I feel there is the song "Go Tell Aunt Rhody" from RE7. That's pretty fantastic, but it's difficult when I can only produce one a month, or that's how much. Yeah, because I don't want to rush them, and then you really have to pick the ones that really work. But Resident Evil, what others are there? I would prefer another game that I haven't covered. Man, there's so many.
I know.
but I think Resident Evil is a good reply. That game series is awesome, and I would love to do something for that. Yeah.
Right. So going back to FF7 being one of your original influences for getting into games, have you played the remake yet?
Yes, I have gotten to Aerith.
Okay.
This is okay. So this is almost makes me feel ashamed of myself, because I've been asking for that remake since 2002.
Right.
That's when I started thinking about man, wouldn't it be cool with the Final Fantasy 9 graphics on this, But and I told myself when the remake gets announced, because I knew it would, I will buy everything, collector's box, the custom PlayStation 4, whatever, and then it hits, and I don't know what it is. It's not. I really love the game, by the way. It's not that. It's just I don't know. I just really need to feel it to want to play it. And I actually been thinking about playing it again lately. But no, it's amazing. I will finish it. It's just you know how it is. Like gaming limbos and gaming interest kind of shifts, and I just gotta go with what feels right. But yeah, definitely. I have the remake here. I actually have it in plastic still because it didn't arrive on time. It didn't arrive on the actual release date, so I bought it digitally. And now I have the physical edition just like in plastic there.
Yeah, I only have the digital. So.
Yeah,
and I actually haven't finished it either. So. But it was one of my biggest things too. Yeah. Except that they changed a lot. Not changed, but added a lot of stuff in. That's pretty cool. But with the music transition from the original into the remake, do you have anything? Do you prefer one over the other from what you've played so far? And will you possibly think about doing any covers based on what they've redone for the remake?
So one thing that really impressed me with the remake is how fucking faithfully they translated these songs into a modern setting. Because, oh man, I was just visualizing so many things that would go down the shitter. Because I remember reading like an article that said like Nobuo Uematsu is returning for the music, but I mean like. Okay, cool, but I mean, you have the music. What the hell are you talking about? Are you going to recompose stuff? Like, are you crazy? Are you going to have like a different music in the slums and stuff like that? It's like, no, don't do that. But they remade all of them so seamlessly because a lot of games want to go the more ambience and the mood kind of way now. And back then, it was more like catchy melodies. That's so okay, this area is from this song. But they really kept that, and I'm actually like the fight music and everything is awesome. So yeah, no, but I mean, like I would let's just say that if I could just sit down and cover whatever I wanted without thinking about anything else, I would probably do every single Final Fantasy VII song. Probably. No, I'm not joking. That's something I want to do, but it's also something I hold so high, in such a high regard that I just don't want to just make it as a YouTube video like really quick. I did the Ares one after a lot of thinking and stuff, but I don't want to just like rush out covers of that stuff. Plus, most of them are instrumentals, which sadly do very badly on my channel compared to the one with vocals. So
yeah, that's unfortunate because they're so well composed. It's just it's amazing, especially video game music. And I kind of wish that, especially with all of the music. Not that music award shows really matter, but I just kind of wish that some game music was a lot more mainstream just because so much is put into it. Even the 8-bit stuff is like, wow. It's incredible. But could I make a suggestion if you wouldn't mind?
Sure.
Maybe for consideration at some point. One-winged angel would be so cool. You probably get that all the time, but oh my gosh, that would be so amazing.
Let's just say my reply is just usually, I know.
I know, yeah.
But I do want to cover that one myself, but it's like, again, like, the Black Mages version from the Advent Children. I mean, they have like, I don't have an entire choir to hire. When they start chanting that beat, like, I get goosebumps just thinking about it now. It's just so insane. And like, if I want to do a cover, I want to one up that. Not be the cover, but like both in the heaviness and that choir. But that choir has to be correct.
Exactly.
And doing it with samples work. There's some really good samples where you can type in what they sing, but it's still, I don't know.
Wouldn't do it as much justice. Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah. But it's I can tell you that much. It's on my list. It's just like I said, I approach especially the Final Fantasy music very carefully. And I want to make sure that when I do it, it's going to be like 120%.
And you had mentioned on your Twitch channel that it's mainly just like whatever game that you have an interest in, that you have like a hankering to play at the moment. Is it ever going to evolve into maybe you going over certain things that you do for your covers, or possibly like doing something just like live on Twitch, playing something? Or do you purposely keep it separated so that you can have, your work every month on YouTube and then kind of play on Twitch?
Well, actually, it started like that. I wanted to separate it. That's the way I started, because again, I want them more excuses to sit and play games, And I mean that works. But yes, I will definitely start playing live music. That is actually my next move. is to start playing properly on Twitch, like making the Twitch more based on the music, and the games will be kind of secondary thing. Because I'm just seeing that, even if I just stream for fun, I mean, it's still kind of a little job, right?
Oh, yeah,
and it
absolutely.
feels a little stupid to put so much effort into something that will not be like a part of the main thing anyway, right?
Right.
And I feel like Twitch is such a great platform, and it's so much fun communicating directly with viewers and stuff. And I feel like I could bring more joy, so to speak, by playing the actual music. So my next move after the next cover actually is I'm gonna not take a break, but I'm gonna start doing my entire backlog of covers, like getting remastering everything for album releases, but also getting all the backing tracks. Because I want to, when I want to perform these on Twitch, I actually want to I don't want to play just on top of the original. I want to have the drum files and the guitars, and then I can actually, when I play the solo, I can cut the solo from the song and just make it like a proper experience. That's my
absolutely.
idea. But some of the covers I can't open anymore because they're so old, and I have to redo some of them. And the Wolven Storm, I totally lost. The entire project is gone. So I have to re-record the entire song.
Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, that really sucks, but that's how it is. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So with the Eris theme having your own lyrics and looking at viewership and how well that did, have you ever thought about, even though covers are your passion, doing more original music and trying to post that on your channel?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I did that Reborn Through Failure, the song, but it's inspired by Dark Souls. The lyrics are about, basically inspired by that. I mean, Reborn Through Failure, that's exactly what you do in the game. So, but yeah, I mean, that was really fun and unexpectedly, like it went unexpectedly well. I did not think that. Maybe it's because I said that it's inspired by Dark Souls. I don't know, but I definitely want to push out more, because actually I have so many songs lying around that I've never seen the light of day. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of songs. I don't know any, like, which I would consider relatively done, like 30, 40, 50 songs or something, just lying there that I just can't do because it was for a band or a project or something like that. But yeah, I have something in mind. But again, it always comes back to that business and what I want to do again. And while of course the original songs might do well, they will not do as well as a cover. That's just the reality. But I will definitely do more, and they will definitely be, for the most part, inspired by video games as well, to kind of tie it in with the channel. Yeah.
And going off of the business portion, have you gotten any requests to record music for someone's video game, like even if it's just an indie game? And have you actually considered doing anything like that?
Well, actually, I think I got like there was like a small indie company that sent me a message 1 year or 2 years ago, but I never heard from them again. But I mean, I will say that it definitely would have been insanely fun. And I started out, when music started to become like, this is what I want to do, that was what I was aiming for, making video game music. But it just trailed off into metal, and now it's kind of like almost the point of nowhere. I can't go back now. Now I have this going. But I would definitely love to be involved in a video game of some kind. I mean, I got to know Julie Elven, the voice of Horizon Zero Dawn, and she sang on Legion, the Anduin's theme. And I talked a lot to her about this, and asked her about the industry and how she's doing. And man, I even more inspired to do like be a part of a game, because I actually sent her a message. I finished Horizon Zero Dawn recently. It's kind of a shame to say that, but I finally finished it on PC. And while the end credits rolled, and before that, when her voice is singing, I was just thinking, man, like how much impact like she had on the experience of the game. How much her voice will be like burned into your memory as like a part of that experience. And while making covers is cool, but imagine just that. Also just take the in The Witcher, the first vocal you hear is that chanting. That's
absolutely.
You will never forget it, and that would be fun to just be that for a game. That would be amazing. But again, it's not something I'm gonna chase after. But if
Right.
the opportunity arises, definitely.
I think my big one is Susan Callaway from some of
Yeah.
the FF9 stuff that's been redone. I think she sings for Final Fantasy X as well. It's like Suteki Dane, I believe. But hers, like anytime I hear her voice, whether or not it's in a game or Distant Worlds for Final Fantasy, I'm like, oh my gosh. It's just because she might have done a ton, but I associate her with those songs from those games.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I'm not sure. Did she do melody? Was it her sang
Melodies of Life? Yep.
Yeah,
that's her.
Yeah. That's also been on my list for a long time.
And then
that
she also
does.
Awesome. I don't know if you've played Final Fantasy 14 or checked it out.
I checked it out for 1 hour.
Oh. She does the music for the original opening cinematic and then for the first expansion as well. She does the music for both of those. It's really amazing.
Awesome.
But you said you had a backlog of covers. Have you ever started a cover and then scrapped it? Or do you always keep something like just in your files?
There's so many stuff that gets scrapped. I have no idea. There's even like songs that I've recorded all the guitars for. It's just I haven't touched it since.
Oh.
It happens, but there's so many variables. And again, back to the business versus what you want to do. And also, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, but I do not want to release just to release. I mean, there's certain songs I could have easily released them right now, but I won't do it if I don't have a complete. This is it. This is how it's going to be.
Right.
If I don't have that feeling, I don't want to do it. And I postponed so many songs, like for example, the Reigns of Castamere one.
That's
I had the intro riff, how it starts with that kind of stuff. It was not like that for a long time, and I showed it to the friends when I was at the studio, and they said like, "No, this is super good. Just release it." It's like, no, there's something that does not is right here. And I just laid off releasing that month, and that means I couldn't charge patrons, and stuff like that.
Sure.
But it ended up becoming what it is with that intro riff, with that start, with the heavy start,
which is awesome.
If you listen to the original, you will be like how it was. I actually have that file. It's pretty disappointing compared to what it is now. So yeah, but I don't know. There's a lot of lying around, a lot of ideas, and there's some ideas I go back to, that I just pick up again and then finish them later. Yeah.
Do you have any other covers that you've just kind of let sit that you've thought about revisiting recently or had like a reinvigorated passion to do?
Yes, I did today. I actually was working on the cover. That's actually not a video game cover. It's actually from a band, but it's from a movie, so it was kind of justified.
Oh, okay.
and it's not a metal band, but sometimes I get this rush of ideas. So I mean, it's like, I don't really want to do that now. I spend 2 days, but then I just realized I will not be able to finish this, and I need to make a video, and then it gets kind of left in the dust again.
Right.
But there's definitely stuff that I just pick up later. Is there any samples of that? But for example, the God of War cover. That one I was actually made way before the game. But when they released that original, because if you listen to my version, I have that beatbox, corn beatbox thing going, and that part is cut out from the original game, so that's why it's still in there. Because the song they released like prior to the release had this throat singing beatbox weird thing, and so that one I made then, and then I just left it all the way until the game was released and a little bit after.
Oh,
so
neat.
Yeah.
So since I've taken up almost an hour of your time, I'll probably conclude with, do you have a favorite cover that you have done?
Wow, that's a difficult question.
Difficult one for the end of the podcast.
There's I would say that the cover that gives me like most joy when I think about it is actually Country Roads.
That's fantastic.
I don't know.
So
I don't
different.
know why. Yeah, but it's so much fun to think about, and I just like how the cover. I'm so happy with how the cover turned out when you think about how the original is, right?
Right.
And but also I have to point out the Dark Souls Lord of Cinder, Gwyn Lord of Cinder.
Yeah.
That cover is also one of my favorite, because I just liked how I managed to translate that piano playing into the riffs and stuff like that. So that's kind of been like one of my favorites. Yeah.
I think my absolute favorite is probably Misty Mountains, just because of The Hobbit, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and just doing that with Dan was really cool. And
But
yeah.
what's funny with him, like he approached me back then. He had like 10,000 subscribers, and I had like 40 or 50. And he was like such a great guy, so humble and so professional. And I was actually working on the song, and I was struggling to, believe it or not, I hated that song, that cover, because I just could not get the feel I wanted. And I think it's mostly because because of how the melody is, and I struggled to translate some of it exactly how I wanted. And then he contacted me, and I saw some of videos, and I just like, yeah, sure, why don't you join in on this one? And he did like this, all the choirs in there are him. He made all of those. And
all of them?
now most of them. I mean, I added
that's
to
really
that,
cool though.
but he's really good at making these big choirs, because he makes like this very dramatic voice,
right?
And it turned out very cool. And now now he's like at 400,000 subscribers, so
which is insane.
Here we are.
And that's what I was going to say, which if you wouldn't mind taking one more suggestion, if you ever do decide to do another thing from a band, the Bard song from Blind Guardian would be really cool. Just saying.
Right. I actually haven't heard the song, so I would have to check it out.
Oh, you should totally. It's amazing. It'd be really cool if you could turn it into something metal, because it's more of like sitting around a campfire, having like some kind of skald or minstrel. That's the feel that you get from it, at least.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for doing this for me. If you have anything else that you would like to tell people, and then just go over where everyone can find you again.
Well, you can check me out on YouTube on Skar Productions and listen to my music if you like them. And if you want to use them in your streams, your videos, go ahead, spread the word, and have fun, basically.
Thank you again. There you have it, my first interview with a musician, and one of my favorites at that. So if you liked this and you want to see more, don't forget to let me know in the comments, and check the descriptions for any links you might be interested in. Thanks guys, and I will see you at the next one.